Welcome to part 2 of week 3 from Foundation 52. In part 1, we discussed marketing strategy. In part 2, we're talking about branding and logos. What's a brand? I'm going to pause for a second. Brands are do you know that most people define brands? They'll tell you what a brand is by giving you an example of a brand. And the most common brands that you'll get an example of, Nike, Apple, Coca-Cola. It's really weird. It's great brand recognition. A brand is a feeling, right? It's how you feel about a company. So Apple, clean design, easy to use, sleek, smooth technology. Apple was the first on the scene with the iPhone. Think about, well, they're still the only one with the iPhone, but they're the first ones to develop a smartphone. When you think about brand, it's really how you perceive a company. Our brand for SB Pace is about doing hard work when you're ready to do it, and that we will help you because we are all about small businesses. So we have a couple of taglines that go with our branding. One of them is when you're ready for success. And another one is launch, operate, grow. And for a long time, we used the tagline of when it comes to small business, we think big. Very true. But what we realized was we were getting a lot of prospects who weren't really ready to do the work it requires to operate a business or to implement a growth strategy. And so we had to shifted our branding a little bit, which we're going to talk about rebranding later. But branding is how a company is perceived. Logo, that's the imagery that's used, right? So Apple, it's the apple with the bite out of it. And Nike, it's the swoosh. Coca-Cola switched its logo honestly, it's like 30 times. It's crazy. Never announced, they just switch. And it just goes for whatever the timing is. You think about like the polar bears for a while were their logo. They also have that, the ribbon on the can, which is, a logo that they use. They have, they switch it when the timing is right. And in all honesty, it's just their visual representation of their company. It's so for you to remember who they are. You could see the logo and not have to see any words with it, and you would know exactly who the company is. You would just know without even, you don't have to think twice. Windows, you see it, you can see it in your head. Apple, you can see it in your head. So here are some questions that we get a lot from our clients or prospects when it comes to branding and logo. First one is, do I need a logo? You don't. I mean, it makes it easier to start to get brand penetration if people can associate an image with your business and with your brand. But you don't absolutely have to have one. It just becomes easier as you go on to have one, and they're not expensive or hard to create, or they don't have to be expensive. Or there's a lot of really great graphic designers out there who will do logos for you relatively inexpensive. How do we recommend that you create a logo? You can do your own online. There's a lot of online sites that do them for you, or you could, look for a graphic designer or somebody. It feels like everybody knows at least one graphic designer. And if you don't know a graphic designer, ask someone in your network and just see if you can get a logo created. They're a really good logo person. You'll know you have a good logo person because they're going to ask you a lot of questions, and questions beyond more than what shapes do you like and what colors do you like. They're going to ask you questions about your company to try and really understand it, to create a logo that goes with it, and hopefully pair it with a color palette, a font file, and with a brand identity. They're going to help you build out your brand identity. They really all go hand in hand. Is it okay to change your logo? Absolutely. 100%. Change it. You don't even have to announce it. You could change it. Like I said, Coca-Cola has changed theirs like 30 times. You can change it. Just make sure that when you're changing it, that you're changing it because for logical reasons that match with what's happening with your brand. And want to just change it to change it and then confuse your customers or your prospective customers, because we all know confused customers don't buy. So don't confuse your customers. And if you're changing your logo every month or every 2 weeks, then they're going to be confused. But if you created one and you did it on the cheap and you don't really like it, or you did it yourself in MS Paint and now you got money and you want to hire somebody, change it. Go for it. It's really 100% okay. How much does branding matter? A lot. I think branding matters more than logo. And I think probably anybody who is a brand identity expert would agree. Branding tells the story of your business. It's what people perceive your company to be. And it's really important that that be a positive experience whenever possible, right? So branding matters, and a really good brand identity person is going to help you develop a brand that goes so perfectly with what the company is, and ideally, if you're really small, with the personality of the owners. And I loved the brand identity exercise that we went through with SB Pace recently. It was a lot of fun and easy, right? Where you're kind of picking out verbs and adjectives that describe things, and it was good. It was a very, very good exercise. How do you create a brand? Intentionally. I think that's the best way I can possibly describe it. Be intentional about your brand. Go through, look, you can surf on the internet. We also have some worksheets out there with this course that help with brand identity. You want to, be very intentional about what your brand is, and then you build your marketing, your website, all of your collateral around that brand. It's how you speak to your customers. It's how you speak about your business. It's how you market yourself. It's how you do sales. Becomes really part of the fabric of the business, and it really should intertwine very well with your core values. They all go together. They speak to who you are, and you don't want to send mixed signals. So be intentional about how you create it, and have it be a brand that you're really proud of, and that is easy for you to market, because it's very, very essential to what the company is. Our brand has changed recently, and we're going to talk about rebranding down the road in this course, but we changed our branding because we were attracting the wrong kinds of clients, right? And we thought we need to be more intentional about the fact that we're working with people who are ready to do hard work. And so that's when we started using "when you're ready for success," and we started being a lot more direct in how we were talking to people, to our followers on social media, talking in our blog, being just very direct, not rude, direct, and clear on what we were doing. And final question that we get: what if I need to rebrand? Same as like creating a brand, be intentional about it. There's nothing wrong with rebranding, and there's no timeline for it either, right? So we're a year old, and we started a rebrand at the beginning of January of 2021. So like 10 months into our company's existence, we're like, we need to do a little bit of a rebrand, because we were attracting the wrong clients, and we really wanted to be intentional about how we were marketing to our clients and the perception that people had of our business. And so that's why we did a rebrand. And that's exactly what brand is. It's the perception. So take a look at the downloads. Once again, I say it every time, but if you have questions, reach out. We are here to help. Save your questions if you want to for the monthly live Q&A. We're happy to answer them there. There's a lot of information on logos and branding, and we want to make sure that if you've got them, we're getting them answered. And until we see you again, have a great week.